let's start off today. And I think we'll probably go through this Netflix because I just did a Facebook video on this. If you've got Facebook, you can go to the T3 Live site, and I make a video there pretty often too, just a real short one. It's usually stuff you guys already know. But if you're in and out during the day and you don't see everything, you might want to check that out. So Netflix here. Netflix, full time frame continuity upside. Is that something we want to be involved in? Definitely. It's higher than it opened on the month, the week, the day, and anytime that's 60. And even so, once that day's bright green, even the 60 turn in red, we know is profit taken because you're not taking anything else major red, right? Now, so when that occurred, at the end of the day, we're watching the 5 minute, and I was doing a little display, and then you had to jump back on to watch you guys get them all again, which was awesome at the end of the day. But when we want to think in terms of scenarios, right? Actionable signal scenarios and time frame continuity, right? And she was like, yep. And so here, once again, there's only three possible scenarios that can happen from any bar. Stays inside, right here. Scenario one. Takes out one side. That's two. Or takes out both sides. Three. All right? And because we know we want to be a buyer of Netflix, how are we going to get in there? And how are we going to know that we're buying off the bottom of a triangle or corrective activity? All right? As opposed to just going straight into the highs like these guys. The two into the highs. Right? We know that it's corrective activity because it was a two to the downside. 1, 2. Then another two to the downside. This is also another two to the downside, but the bar closed green back into the range. That tells us we've got a potential reversal on. 2, 2, and then 2 right here. Bam, you're in. All right? And then for the add, if you muscled this out, and you can say that I'm just going to ride it until it takes the lows out here and get out. That's fine. All right? But here it goes 3, then 2. So we know we got a fractal tribe because a 3 is a broadening formation on a shorter term time frame. 3, 2, 2 reversal here. And that takes 277.57 and boom, right there. It was almost $3 in 20 minutes, right? At the end of the day. Right? The other way besides time frame continuity that would tell us that we'd want to be in Netflix, the weekly. That's a 2-2 right. That's a 2-2 there on the weekly. 2 to the upside, 2 to the downside, 2 back the other way. All right? Perfect. So that's why we'd want to be in there. So I've said this before, but I want to keep reiterating 60 or grab 60 upright. Yeah, there's a million ways to get in on this stuff. 3-2 is tradable? Oh, yeah, it is. Definitely, because the 3 is a triangle. We want to get, because the important part about the 3, the 3 is that gives us the magnitude. When people are asking me about targets, right? About what our target is, whenever you see a 3, an outside bar, that's a triangle. We're looking to go take that out, right? So here, because this is a 3, that's a fractal triangle, and then it made a lower low and comes back in, we're back into this triangle. And so from here, even though time ran out here, we're looking for this thing to go 2 again and take that out, which it did, and then some. Right? So when you're talking about magnitude, that's how we're using the triangles and the 3s. Right. As soon as it takes this out, right here, 277.57. As soon as it goes 58, you're taking it. And so Andreas here, if you take this, right, you can give it to the bottom of this bar, which it never took out. You can do the 1-2 center, right? Netflix is a little bit more jumpy of a thing. Yeah, 3 is expanding of the range, correct. So you can go the 1 center, or if you're comfortable with this because we have full time frame continuity to the upside, you can give it to the bottom of this 5-minute bar, which it never came near. Know what I'm saying? No, 3 is a 3 no matter what. We prefer the bigger ones. We prefer the bigger ones. Show you some of my faves. Jack in the Box. So where was that? Remember there being a good Jack in the Boxer. The monster. This baby here. See this? 3. And when you have a big outside bar like this, or any big bar, and you get cut in here where you're nowhere near taking this out, expect to get chopped up. The internal triangle, you can get murdered in here. And you know what it did? It took out this side of the 3, went 2, 1, 2, back up, and then took this thing out. Eventually took this thing out. Google did the same. Where was that Googer? Here. Outside month, chop them up, spit them out. Ticked slightly below that, boom. All the way back up. Andres, run it by me. Show me which ones you're getting into. Because you can get back in. They can stop you up, but there's ways to get back in. Tesla, right? Converted in there, right? Go, dude. Right? That's one of the things I want to talk about, because newer people, you have tough times. I saw it, like, do battle. Use all the time frames and all the scenarios to get in. If there's something we want to be involved in, and they stop you out, do battle, man. Keep looking for the setups, because once you find that right triangle, they ain't never coming back. Okay. Okay. And so, Andreas, the great thing about it is also, if we have full time frame continuity and we have something we really want to be involved in, we can go down to the oneers for the scenarios to pick the bottom of the tries. It's war out there, kill or be killed, right? And we know that we're winning the war. We've got reinforcements when we have the time frame continuity. Yep, Brian says it all the time. The hardest thing was, I just want to get in and that's it. It's like, that's not always the case. Right. Now, Andres, the problem with the QQQ stuff was that for you, we really wanted to be more involved in the stocks right now. And so let me take a look at how TQQ traded today. All right. So if you're on the 5 minute, on the 5 minute, here's your 2, 2, 2 right there, right? But you're down on the day at that point. You might not take it. Right here, 2, 2 hammer. Does come back into the range though. There's a 2, 2 hammer. That never comes back. A little more grindy. You're right. When the chimes went up. Nice. And so, yeah, Andreas, like when the things are really grindy like this, you got to come off the bottom of the triangles. If it's and that's one of the things, like for Frank, watching the 15s, 30s, 60s and kicking back. When things are really grindy, that's not going to work, because you're always going into higher highs. And so, although it seems like counterintuitive that we would use really short-term stuff when it's boring, you have to do that. When it's really boring or when it's really active is when we're going down to those 1, 3, 5s. You have to. Otherwise you're just walking into tighter triangles that are as they walk up. Yeah. Because these triangles, this is a 5-minute chart. This is really tight stuff. It's going up, but anytime you're going into highs, it's coming right in retrace, up and retrace, up and retrace. And that's why you need to come off the bottom stuff to get the bottom of the tries. Yeah. Yeah, you want to put your alerts before they actually go off. So when people have the inside bars, you want to have it before it triggers, or outside bars or whatever, before it triggers, so you know it's coming. Nikolai, we go back after whatever's going to set up for us. Yeah. Potential outside three. Yeah, yeah. No, on a longer term time frame, it sure could. Don't understand the two reversal? Okay, let's go back to the Netflix. What that means is, on this Netflix 5, what this means is that we're identifying corrective action for sure. Yeah, right, and NEE, right. So we want to identify corrective action, right? So when people say pullback, what does that mean? I used to say, what I used to say to them, like 5 cents, 2 cents, $10. What's a pullback? You know when it pulls back. I'm like, well, you got to define that. All right. So how can we define that something is pulling back, or in our world, triangulating them out? Right. The two is taking out one side of the range. Right. So here you might have gotten stopped out if you were going two here to the upside. This is why you get out for a cent or as fast as you can, because this would have been 2-2 and keep going. That's not what happened. It turned into a 3. That's why you get out, because a failed 2 is a potential 3. Then it goes 3. Then it goes 2 and takes out one side of the range. So we got a fractal triangle, because our outside bar is a fractal triangle. 2 takes out one side of the range. 2 back the other way means that we're back into that triangle. And we're back full throttle the upside, because we know everybody's a buyer in this thing. And yeah, and those Utes, NEE, tight stuff, and then the outside 60, the 3-2, right here. Bam, 3-2. Get. Get. There can be tons of twos. Oh, yeah. Because every 2 is an attempt at trending. It's either a successful trend or it's an unsuccessful trend. Nice. Good. And so like Qualcomm, triangle day out, 60 back up. But Qualcomm on the month, no, on the day. On the day when it was down here, now it came back off a 60 signal, see? So 60 is a major signal. It goes inside 60 and comes back up, triangle style. You see this? These guys, and this, all right? Tight, choppy range. Oh, this is the real move. Is it? Puke. Inside 60 and back up. But when it was down here and puking like this, that was the 2-2 reversal on the day. Right? 2 up, and once you took that out, this thing's puking. Right? We're going up. No, we're not. Puke. And then you had your inside 60, which is a major signal to reverse it back up to save it. And that's when I say everything needs to confirm or negate. If that thing was going to stay 2-2 and get destroyed, it would have gone inside 60 and gotten destroyed. Right? No, you can go 2-2-2. You can keep adding if something keeps going 2. Oh, yeah, you can. Nicolette, you just have to understand that you're going into a higher high, and that stop has got to be right there. Because anytime you do that, it can potentially come back 3. Right, so in a strong trend, if something's really motoring, oh yeah, you can keep gunning it. And so like on a longer term thing, if you're just like, I'm just Mr. Spy Guy, I'm like, okay. It's like, you could do this. 1, 2, buy. It goes 2, buy. And I'm just slowly accumulating. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Oh no, get out of it all. Right? So you can do that. It just has to go, right? When I say going to the highs, high of the day, and if it's actual highs, I'll say high of ever. It's the high of ever. The high of ever. The measured move, yeah. So trying to think if anybody's got a good measured move from today. Sag. So Sag. So the thing is about a measured move, and everything that we do is price and time, right? And so that's really important. When people say price target, if they don't say time, they don't know what they're talking about. Certain things got to happen in a certain amount of time, because what's going to occur over time is more variables come into it. So by that I mean you're going to have any change in continuity is a variable. It's a new week, it's a new day, it's a new 60. All that kind of stuff is a variable. So if you go to Sedge Hog, right, what we're looking for, was a measured move of this, right? So we can take the median of all these guys and say, let's say this last was 44.29, and this bar's range from opening to close was 42.10, so 270. So 270 from 44.29, so 46, almost 47. Ran out of time, didn't quite make it. Now, when we're looking for measured moves, this is very important, Houston, too. This thing's going into the highs, right? We are more likely to get the measured move completion when we're ripping back through the triangle, right? Because there's more levels of guys short that need to cover, right? So ideally, for the measured move, we want to come back through a range. Make sense? Momo hammers and shooters, you bet you can. Yeah, you can. And like the Alexian yesterday. And and the most important thing is understanding why, right? And see, I'm going to get to everybody in a second. Is why would this work, right? This is what I want everybody to understand. It's like, don't just take my word for it. Understand why, right? Why would this work, right? Why these hammers were working like nobody's business in Alexion, here and here, here, right? Is it because if you got jammed short in here, right? And when it was down into here, those dumbasses are like, it's about to roll over. Is it? They had their chance to cover. They didn't. And it comes back up into here. And you got real buyers in here. So when it takes this out, 2 sets of stops and real buyers. Right? That's why Momo hammers work. Right? Guys got a chance to cover, and they didn't do it. I bet you know some people like that. Or have been that guy. Oh, cool, it's rolling over. What's it doing? Oh, no, I'll put my stop on the highs. I bet you will. Fady McFaderson. That's why I like talking about the strat. I'm already in your head. Yeah, scrambling to get out, and you got real buyers. If it's really going to work, you got real buyers. So one of the things that's very important to understand about Momo hammers, right? When you're going into the high, because it's going into the highs, you got to be very aware of when that closes out. It shouldn't come in at all, right? They got to go and stay up, because what we're identifying is beautiful if we're right. And what that means is if these guys are getting stopped out and causing the natural buyers to pay up, it closes out on the highs, right? But at any time, at that time too, if those shorts get out and the longs get in, it becomes crowded. And then you can have shooter counters hammer and have it come right back down and get destroyed. Right? So you got to be aware of how those things work too. In a perfect world, everyone's a buyer and the shorts are still scrambling. But you got to be aware of it. And then that thing comes in at all, you're gone. Okay. And Sue wants to know about PSAR stops. And so using the PSAR, I want to be very clear about that it doesn't have to be a hard stop. What it really does is just tells you that there's been a passage of time, right? Right, jump out and we can get back in. Because what I'm showing you, Clint, we can get in anything. If it's really going to go, there's going to be a million entries per what we do. Right? Other people, but I didn't get my pull back. So let's say, I don't know, let's go Netflix today. How'd that go? So Netflix here. So what we can do with this too is how much information do we have, time frame continuity, all that kind of stuff. The more you have, the looser you can set it, right? And so here, if Netflix on the 15 comes up in here, and much like VXX here, when it stops out, we're looking for a buy signal, right? Because we know everything else we know this thing's really a buy, right? This is just stopping them out. And that was perfect because that was at the point of the 2 reversal on the 15, right? So the sell signal was giving us the actual buy. So you don't have to have a hard stop there. You just want to know what's going on at that point. And so what you can do is you can check the different time frames, like something that's really gunning. That it's not going to catch up forever, right? And you can go down to the 1s, 3s, and 5s. And when that catches up, what we do is we reevaluate what's going on with this thing at that point, right? Do we still have full time frame continuity? It just tells you a passage of time, right? And so if there's in other instances where usually what we want is to have something that's going to give us multiple signals to get in. But if we have the reason to believe it's a one-hit wonder where we just got our trade, right, and that's it, then we tighten it up on the PSAR and just get out, right? If we don't have anything else, if it's in conflict still inside on a longer-term time frame, yet the range is big enough to trade, we can take that trade and suck it up on the shorter-term PSAR, and then just get out. If it keeps going, so be it. But if we have any reason to believe it's going to reverse, then we can use it as the hard stop. Why is crowded trade a bad thing? And Sue, does that make sense? The crowded trade's a bad thing because everybody who wants to be long is now long. That means the first set of profit taken sets them all puking. Okay, good. That's a bad thing. We want people that need more stock. But if everybody got the stock that they wanted, puke. That's a bad thing. Right? But it's green on all time frames. Yeah, it is, but it's also going to the highs. Look out! Look out! Profit taking. Right? And then profit taking can turn into more selling, to real selling. I thought you were bullish on the stock. How come you're dumping it? Okay. Yeah, the range of the mother bar, correct, Houston, yes. The range of the mother bar taken from the midpoint of the consolidation of the inside bar stuff. The high and low exhaustion, right? And that's why when people say, is it still inside even if it goes 1 penny? I'm like, no, that's a triangle. Sorry, that's a 2, right? And now we know that. That's a 2. That is not a 1, that's a 2. I don't know how feeble it was. It's only a couple of pennies. Sometimes that turns into a monster 3. Yeah, tomorrow, like the Greeks are not my level of expertise. You can talk to Dave and some other people like that. Netflix was a bit. What I'll be looking for is magnitude of the 3s and the triangles of what it looks like on what type of magnitude around the strike, right? So ideally, you want to have a scenario 3 involved if we're going to get off some of these strikes, right? Maybe the 1-2 works, but we want a 3 because that's the one that really hornswoggles them, if that's a word. We're like, what? Right? Scenario 3 on the daily, or or anything really. And so X and CTO. So X, let me tie this all up for you. So X just crapped out because on the daily, and here's when to talk about time frame continuity. When you start doing battle for too long and you see this thing's really not doing anything, Stop doing battle on this thing. It's doing nothing, right? We had some high hopes in the morning, but once it's staying around, this is how we use time frame continuity, right? It's doing nothing. It's doing nothing. Now, it had a shot at it early, right? We had high hopes for it because 15 down and never recovered, right? There's some chop around in here, maybe 15 upper, slight higher high, exhaustion, peak, 2 back down. Done with this thing. If you go to the 60, here, you got the 60 up. Didn't get you much, right? Just doing the chop around. But by this time, it's 1, 2, 3, 3.5 hours in, 4 hours, it's still not doing anything. It doesn't mean it can't, but we prefer to go after the things with the big, long green bars on the daily by then, right? Just like in the second week of the month or the third week of the month, I don't want to be trading something that's inside in a doji, right? I want to be something that's bright red and bright green, where most people would say that's chasing, and I'm like, no, that's moving. sorry, that ain't chasing. That thing's moving, right? I want to be involved in something that's moving, right? And video will be posted in Quant Edge Coaching. It is a word. There we go. Hornswoggled. And so CTL here, this one Rev Strat here 60 off of this stuff to recover the daily opening. So you could have gotten something out of that. Just doing a lot of battle, right? My email suit. And let's see. And what else? Teva. Teva actually worked to a certain extent. And that opening 15 are actually puked, right? So that actually did work. It just didn't get out of the mother bar. Then it went here. Then it went 3, right? 2. Tried to go 2-2 reversal. Didn't work. Then it went 2, 2, 2 reversal here. That worked. But then by that point, it turned into a chop fest. So we got it to come in a little bit, but... And my email is this, if anybody hasn't introduced themselves. Because that's what I do these days. I answer emails after I do this. Okay. Yeah, and so here's one of the things, Chris, is that one of the hard parts is that if you're not going to be here all day, right, and you're not going to be able to do battle, just get some entry going, right? And so let's say that here, this 15 that you had, right? 21, 21. Ooh, that was close. That was close to stopping you out here. If you didn't get stopped out here, you just stay short all day and then come back at the end of the day with your stop. A la Brian. So you see what Bry does. He'll get them Strat cruisers. He'll have all his stops in. He'll come back at the end of the day. If he didn't get stopped out, he made a ton of money. If he did, he still made a bunch of money off the opening. Yeah, email me for all that kind of stuff. I got some of it, yeah. And as you can see, we got some new folks helping out. Codes for Thinkorswim, TC2000. So here, you hit the sell, but then put a buy stop right here, right where you got in. It would have missed by a penny, and you'd still be short. And you come in at the end of the day and go, now I can cover, right? Yeah. So this reverted to a 1. So did this, until this went 3 and took them all out. Bam, bam, here. Just didn't fall apart. Right, and the problem with that, still green on the week. In the month, doji doing nothing. It's doing nothing. Look at that, doing nothing. Okay. And Sam will get on that 2-2 just a second. That's okay. That's going to happen. Like I said, if you stay on the gap list, because Trip was the one that was handing it out, and then Sedge later if you didn't fall asleep, right? And that's okay if you stay on the gapper list and it's not a gapper list day, so be it. When it is, they really go, right? What time frame in the morning? Ones, threes, and fives. Not everybody's going to do that though, right? Because you'll hear me start off on the fast stuff and then pull it back to 15s, then 30s, then 60s. QQQ here. QQQ trying to go 2-2 back up or above 165.75. I think it did it after hours. Yeah, after hours, I think it did go 2-2 in the week. Sticking it to them. Sticking it to them. But Raj, I just don't want you to go nuts early. Because one of the things I don't want to happen is you start trading this stuff before you really understand it. Because what's going to happen is then you get chopped up in the morning and then you get gun shy when we get all the good stuff. So today we had simultaneous break. A couple of them, right? We had it in the semis on a 30-minute downer early, right? MSMH went 30 down. Remember that little ditty to triangle they out? And that was everybody. MU and AMAT and all those guys went 30 down. So when you're listening to me during the day, this is what I'm calling out. So we're looking this in the videos on the longer term stuff, but we had a simultaneous break to the downside, and that took them all. That took MU, that took AMD, all of them 130 down. It was perfect. All right, it was great. Simultaneous break. And that's a 30-minute simultaneous break unique to the semiconductors, right? And that's fine because we know exactly where we're going, right? Then we had the simultaneous break in the 60s with the SPY and the longer term guys. This is why we say we don't trade during inside bars on longer term time frames because you're getting murdered in here when the SPY was doing this. And then it was all of a sudden go time. Ready? Inside 60 up. And that's all the inside 60s went to the upside. So we had an intraday simultaneous break on the 60s back to the upside, which means we caught the downside of that, all of the semis, and then you get the rest of the upside of the day here. Boeing, yeah. All right. Yeah, email me. So you got my email, and if I don't get back to you right away, I'm getting. Obviously, you can see we got a lot of people here, and I'm get buried in email every night. I'm doing the best I can. And so Sam, real briefly, we were looking at the Netflix because we've already gone over this, and it is recorded, but I want to make sure everybody gets it because that's how I am. So on the Netflix weekly, you're going to see this 2 takes out one side of the range. 2 takes out the one side of the range. All right. And then 2 takes out one side of the range back to the upside. Right? That's a reversal to the upside. 2, 2, 2, reversal back up in Netflix. Right? Thanks, man. And that gave us full time frame count to the upside. And so at the end of the day, we're watching the fiver. Right? Okay, get rid of the PSA on for this. What you want to look for here is this tells us that we're getting corrective activity when you have a 2 to the downside. This went 1 inside, 2 to the downside, 2 again, takes out one side of the range, 2 again because this took out partial range, but then comes back up and then goes 2 the other way. There's your 2, 2, 2 reversal back up. This is a 3 outside bar, 2 back into the range, fractal triangle, 2. As soon as it takes that out, we're back in and looking to take that out. And one of my training vids actually draws straight lines for outside bars. Yes, just so you can see them. It doesn't mean that level is like support or resistance. That's not what that means. What that means is because triangles expand and contract, right? That below that, you'd still be hitting the bottom or top of the triangle. But once you're in that, we know you're back in the triangle for sure, right? So that helps you to not have to sit there and draw everything. Because other people are like, how do I drum? How do I drum? How do I drum? When you get back into a previous outside bar, you have to be back into a previous triangle. Can't not be. So that's how you can identify that. Yeah. And that's important to know because that's how we're gauging the magnitude. We're back into the old battle. Like I said, it's like when you get back in there, it's like, yeah, remember that time I punched you in the face and then you kicked me in the balls and took my money? Yeah, well, I'm back. I just came back, right? That's something you don't want to see. I can't believe that guy came back. He means business, right? A la Ulta. All weekly Ulta. One of my faves. The weekly Ulta. So that what I showed, I think this is actually in the course though. What this shows you is triangles going back into other triangles. It was up into here, outside triangle, peak. Then it goes outside of here, and you're like, maybe it'll triangle back up, but it got you back into this one, peak, and this one got you back into this one, peak, which got you back into this one, peak. Whole lot of puking going on in this one and here, and all that kind of stuff. Right. So that tells us, yeah, I remember that one. That's going down in the annals. So another thing I've said in the last few days, and I want to reiterate too, is watch the nightly video after the close from the night before, because what you're going to see is what played out. What did we talk about, right? And the utilities were a lot of pretty easy plays. Utilities did what they were supposed to, and if you look at the utilities, you see this day here. This is the brightest green day they've had since last November. Right? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, this one here, but right. And I know Utes can be pretty boring, but that's why we go to the NEEs and the SREs and stuff like that. It seems like there'll be potentially so many 2-2 signals. Do you only trade with time frame continuity, avoid flipping back and forth? Yeah, yeah. No, we want to use all the longer term time frames. What the longer term time frames tell us, Houston, is where to do battle. Right? Which ones do we want to do battle? Then we can micromanage it down to the shorter term stuff. We already know the tanks are rolling across Germany into Berlin. Right? Now we're just going after the stragglers in the alleys and stuff like that. Right? We already know this war is pretty much over. Like Netflix, they're taking them out and shooting them. Then we can micromanage it. But if you do it on everything, yeah, you get chopped up. Especially if you don't know it's an inside bar. Then it even gets worse. Thank you, Andreas. But so watch that video because then you just go through it. Go through, watch it. What were the symbols that we're watching, and then look at all the signals that triggered and what did they do, right? And then you can go back to the gapper list. What did they do, right? What could I have done? That helps you to see these things over and over again. That's really what I want is to have you see these things, right? Because once you do that, it's going to become second nature. I've said that before. But we want to get you into a certain wheelhouse that you're just sticking with. Because I know I talk about a lot of stuff, and you're like, oh my God, like, I can't trade 50 gazillion stocks. I'm like, someday you will. But when you stick with a universe or are able to listen for me calling the audible, like the inside 30 break on the semis or the inside 60 break in the SPY and all that kind of stuff, how that lines up, that's where you can audible out. And so when you hear that triangle going off, right, we know something's cooking. But I want everybody to find a wheelhouse that is consistent for you, and then you can branch out and do whatever you want. And just seeing things for what they are. The 1, 2, or 3 time frame continuity, period. If you got to go scrubs your brains out with soap, I'm still seeing my support lines. Don't do it. All right. The sooner that you see this the way it is. If I've missed any questions, if you could retype it, because I'm trying to follow along here. And as you can see, a lot of people here, everybody's real helpful. Right? People have been doing this for a while. Are going to help you. NVIDIA making sure nobody in for whatever this thing's going to do. Nice inside day up. Now Doge. So the good thing about NVIDIA is it's still time frame continuity upside and trying to take out the highs. Right? You're still 2-2 on the weekly to the upside. That's good. You're just flirting with the highs. You know, if you have signals for that last an entire week where you look for actual signals that same, say if you had an outside week for an outside, oh yeah, oh no, and this is important too. That's why we like the longer term signals. Once that's in force, that's still in force, and all the shorter term time frames we're going to do battle, and that's why we use yearly charts, quarterly charts, and the monthly charts. Once that's in force, oh yeah, that's where we're doing battle. You don't have to get the actual break itself. So NVIDIA, because it is 2-2 week, yeah, oh yeah, that's on the radar. Definitely, that's in force. That 2-2 is going, and it hasn't met the objective, and by that I mean it hasn't taken this out yet. Right? We're looking for these guys. First was this to go in force, and then we're looking for full time frame continuity here, and then we're looking to go after them. Right? Make sense? Yeah. So when people say, "Oh, it broke the inside month, but I missed it," no, you got all month to go after that thing. The tanks are rolling. The tanks are rolling. And that's why also, John, that's why we can look for those shorter term 222s and stuff like that, because that tells us not only are we where we want to be, but we're trading corrective activity, right? We're not going right straight into the highs. Yeah, exactly. Yes, you can still trade things that are inside, like the SPY. You just got to be aware of that, right? I just want you to be aware of that because any change in continuity could rip it right back the other way. But obviously, there can be inside months that have huge ranges, and obviously inside years that have huge ranges. You just want to be aware of that, any change in continuity. That's why you'll see why the flip is so important. At 60, you better know about that. Thank you, Andres. Appreciate that. SKYY. Get. First Trust Cloud Computing ETF. Get. No, the 1, 2, 3 is you're gonna watch the is you want to watch the greatest story ever sold on my go to my YouTube. The greatest story ever sold. Remember, this is all brand new to me too. Cloud computing ETF get. So what are you saying? Uh, Oh, sorry, dude. Oh, I got you in video. Thank you. That vid breaks it all down. So daily get 60. Here you go. Ready? 3-2 to the upside. 2-2-2-2-1 3-2 2 reversal back up. Triangle day out. Outside bar. Hammer. Boom. Get on the 60. And thank you. I appreciate that, Andreas. Andreas has been with me, and Andreas is excellent at this. Oh, I'm sorry, synthetics, yeah. So tomorrow, depending on what's going on, and Houston trades a lot of options, I understand. So let's say, depending on what options you take, that we always want to be aware of later in the day tomorrow coming through different strikes if something's working for us, right? Because if those options start to tighten up, What we want to do is be able to lock in profits yet still have more opportunity. And by that, what I mean is that, let's say, I don't know, SPY or whatever, right? Let's say SPY goes ripping 273. Let's say it gaps down a little bit and you get the 273 or 274 options, right? And starts cranking. He starts cranking up into this stuff, like another up 300 day or whatever. Anytime that thing comes near a strike on the upside, if you're long the other calls, you can look to lock that in with puts against the strikes, right? The reason being is like if there's not that much premium in them, you're still long if the thing still cranks, as opposed to just getting out and taking profits, right? Another thing you can do is you can also, if it's going your way and it's in the money, right? Instead of selling the option, if those options are still too expensive, sell stock against it, right? And it might not seem like it's going to reverse and go all the way back down, but if it does, you've locked in your profit and then you're short below the strike. So anything can happen, right? And it may not work, but if it does, you've already locked in your profits. You may as well do it that way, right? In case a bomb goes off, you're short, have locked in the profits from the options, and if they turn around on you, then you got the synthetic put. So yeah, yeah, that's how you play with their money. It might be a long shot, but who cares? I've already got my money, right? It's a free lotto. And when it pays, it really pays, all right? Especially when they walk into a triangle. Hi, Judy. Because it seems like everybody's coming along. And like I said, if it doesn't snap to you right away, it will. Just keep seeing these things this way. Yeah, profits locked in insurance policy, right? Yeah, Judy was it was started as a little challenging, but then we got the inside 60 SPY and off we went. So yeah, Chris, just slow down and see it, man. Just see it first, right? You don't have to try and pay attention to me. And like I said, that a lot of what I'm saying to you, once you are laser focused, some people are laser focused on me because they know how to jump around, right? But at first, a lot of my stuff should just be blah 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 gapper bam, and that's I'm talking to you, right? Right. That's what we try to prevent, dude. Getting chopped up, and then when the real move is, you're already so beat up, like I'm not getting in. Okay, real move. No, I've lost enough money today. I'm not trading. Are you sure? And off they go. Right? Because you can choose to not trade until you hear that thing. You just stay in bed and leave Rob going boo, 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 and you hear that thing. Get out of bed. uh, I only want to get when the getting's good. Right? Boeing, there you go. Watching gappers. You can just like anything else. You're just looking for everything. And so, Nikolai, when I get on in the morning, I'll give you a pretty good idea where we might go. Right? But you can look for anything. But until you really get it, with the gappers, pull back onto at least the 5 and 15s. Don't try and be a madman. So VXX doing this. So VXX still 2 months to the upside, but the weekly going inside week after they triangle they out. And oh, did they triangle they out. Here's the triangle they out. So the question is, how do we get out of here? How do we get out of here? Peak. It's not indicator night, no. So we can get the inside week for the just kidding repuker, and we still got to get outside of this. We're hoping we stay in here a while, right? We're hoping we get some more volatility. Yes, understanding it and execution, two different things, correct. So now we want to see how do we get out of this thing, right? Could use a down day, but otherwise it's just business as usual. Puke. Adobe, it's a 1-2-2 scenario. It's not a rev strat. It's similar because it's inside and then comes back through. And that's how, before we wouldn't have caught that. We would have said that's a nothing. But it is. It's a 1-2-2. Right? And now it's in the course. 1 cent on this stuff, right? And when I'm calling stuff out, what I expect you to do, I want you to have that monthly, weekly, daily, 60, 30, all that kind of stuff up. Then you'll see it. Right? That's what I want to do. I need to train you to see this stuff. Right? When you pull up that monthly, weekly, daily, 60, 30, 15, 5, you're going to see it. Right? Then it's all be a matter of, is there anything I'm not seeing? Right? This is a weekly chart of Adobe. Because when you pull them all up, you're going to be like, think we should trade Adobe? Green on the month, albeit still inside. 2-2, weekly's green. Oops. Is green on the day. Oh, it goes inside on the 60. You think we should buy it? I think you probably should. Right? Right here. 257. 258. All right. There you go. $2.50, doing nothing. You could hang out on the pooper and read the paper for 3 hours, 4 hours, and come back at the end of the day and just sell it. Piece of cake. Al, make sense? Let me make sure. Yeah, like I said, we're designed to create winning positions. Then you can do whatever you want. Let the market have its way with you. But everybody I know is a buyer of Adobe. Didn't get stopped out. Lows never took out the lows of that. Yeah, and Brian says it's 1 or 2 a day. The keep a goingers. Create the winning positions in things that we believe have every reason to keep going. Third, fifth, 10th. I have days where I'm like, who has the most positions on? Because if you're fast enough in a trending market, you can have a ton of them going. I'm buying everything in sight. Al, I just want to make sure I'm clear on that to you. I expect you to see it. And like when you ask me, I already want you to go back to looking at all this stuff, seeing that for yourself, and then you can ask me if you're seeing it right. Set up the hotkeys. Oh yeah, boom, 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 and then the panic button in case you hit the wrong button. I rev stratted myself. Okay. Because that can also help you with the power on the. It's like beauty for you. That can also help you with the mighty ad. Boom, 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 boom. It's like beauty for you. Hit the wrong button. Why was Adobe a 2-2 on the week? Let's blow it up so you can see it. Remember, see it. Inside 1, so it goes 1, which must be followed by a 2 eventually. And it was 2. 2 back the other way. The 2-2. 2 down, 2 up. Yeah. Yeah, so once you see things that way, I thought it was going down. Not anymore. Not anymore. All right. It's not a hammer nor a rev strat. Nope. It's just a 2. That's the beauty of the scenarios. Because you got people who wouldn't touch this thing after rallying from 180 back up to 198. We would. Because we know once it takes that out, we're going after them, which we took out, and then these guys. Because the triangle's expanding. And so one of the problems that people have, everybody has that doesn't know what we know, is gauging magnitude on when things have gone too far or when they have not, or when they are likely to really move, right? Because what happens is a vicious cycle. Perhaps you know somebody that has gone through this. There's a certain level of volatility that you're expecting, and you get stopped out, right? And so you say, my stop was too tight. I'm going to loosen up my stop a little bit, right? And that gets taken out. And you say, screw these guys. I'm not putting no stop in. And then you get destroyed. And then what happens? It goes rallying back even bigger than you even thought in the first place. You ever had that happen to you? That's because people get caught in the vicious cycle of not understanding of expanding and contracting volatility. And that what that causes them to do, to go back to the original to go back to the original because they just lost a bunch of money. Now they have to go back to the tight stop, which doesn't work again. Then the looser stop, which doesn't work again. And then they get destroyed again, and they got to do it's a vicious cycle like that, right? And that's what they say you can't chase. There's certain instances, yes, you can because the triangle's finally growing, right? Right. This is not a rough strat. This is just a 2-2. Yeah, it's just a 2-2. I think everything should be able to do hotkeys, but you'd have to ask everybody else. I have light speed; they can do it. But if anybody else has any enlightenment on that, it's because this is not an actionable signal. It's not a hammer, and it didn't close inside of this. But the 1-2-2 is similar, and the reason it is because we're still reversing the inside bar, right? This equilibrium is still getting reversed, right? So since I haven't even built this into the course, technically it's a 1-2-2 rev strat, not an actionable signal hammer rev strat. I'm going to have to iron that out before I win my Nobel Prize. This thing's not a hammer, but we'll take this thing. When we take this thing out, it's on. Yeah. Dude's like, told you it looked funny. 2 months ago, we would have discounted that as a nothing. Now, we would have still said you're coming through this equilibrium, but now 2-2. That's why I said now we can get anything. Right before, we were pretty good. We were really good. But now we're on roids with this stuff. And so, win, Paul, I'm sorry. Outside bar triangle, good place to look for reversal. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Once an outside bar, always an outside bar. Where's the 2-2? Right here. 1, 2 takes out one side of the range. 2 takes out the other side of the range. 1, 2, 2 get. And when we come up on here, the 2, because it's a 1-2-2. We're going after them, and them. And so here's what's interesting with the three ICPT. If this thing does it, I'm going to be the hero of ever. So we've been watching this thing for a while, right? ICPT. Okay. Now it's pretty tight on this weekly, right? Those moves are actually pretty big. Now what it did was it was inside quarter. It was on the quarterly chart. Inside quarter. These three, right? And it went outside month, right? Taking them all out. And so we were watching this come down into here, and I was like, ooh, if this thing comes back in, the 3-2-2-2 on the weekly to take out the three here. I was like, we're going to go take out the quarter back to the upside and go outside quarter, which we did, right? And then it comes all the way back down and takes and triangles them again. And you got 3 months of this stuff. This thing could go right back up and take it all out, back up to the highs. Once a three, always a three. Uh, 2-2 as soon as it comes back in. So if you're doing weekly Adobe, just don't let it come back into the two. Otherwise, it's potential three. No bueno. Get killed, right? As soon as it takes this out. So you're long above 198.46. That's it. If it comes back below that, you're out. BIIB, yeah, because the market's going straight up, and it's got full time frame counting to the downside. The 15 right here, it had a full time frame counting to the downside, right? They were going to get medieval on that boy in the middle of a big rally. Yeah, that's worse. Yeah, it's medieval time. Look at this here. It's 2-2 reversal on the month, right? 2-2 reversal month, puker, right? Weekly, still puking from the inside weaker, right? Now you're going into lower lows. We realize that. But here, when this thing kicked in, these lows here, 302.28, here, you still hadn't taken that out yet. Guess it's getting taken out. 302.28 off the inside 15 or at 308.02. Bam. Then we'll talk. Yeah. But the initial haymaker was going to get thrown. Peak. Okay. And was it stopping where my? Oh, I think I got the 2-2 free. Okay. Something like intraday in what? In Adobe? The weekly 2-2 over 198.46. If you're weekly swinging it, you don't have to worry about that. It's just staying up there. Oh, so on the daily when it was doing that, 98.46. Let's see. Oh, 98.46. So here comes up. Comes up through here, fiver up in that, right? Comes back in, stops you out, triangle you out. What's going to happen, right? Triangle them out. Right, now. All right, man. So if you wanted to be a wheeze here, so here. It's still below that stuff, but you did have the 2-2 reversal right here. Down, 2, 2, right there. This one, 2 up, 2 down, 2-2 reversal. All right. This as we get back to where we want to be involved, right? This one up and then came back in off the fiver, reverted to a 10 because it didn't get out of the mother bar till here. Then boom, the 1-2-2 back down to triangle they out. Inside on the oneer. Then this goes Rev Strat fiver right here. Never coming back. Right there. Sexy. What I can do, rest in peace, XIV, unfortunately. Look at this triangle we had drawn on the monthly. Never thought in a million years we'd get that, but 2-2 monthly. Yep. The 2-2 monthly was the problem. And SVXY coming back down to the try. So the good thing is SVXY survives, right? Yes, I'm looking for further actionable signals, of course, yes. Now, if you were really active or had, like I said, if you could sit on that level and just be like 2 cent stop, and when it goes down, I'm out, and just sit there and hit the button every time it breaks back above it until it doesn't come back. Now, SVXY is going to be interesting down here. Been waiting for something like this, so this could be real interesting. If it survives and this market goes back into doing what it does. Because ideally, everything's designed to create winning positions. I always want to remember that. We're designed to create winning positions. And because of what we know about how price action works, we have every reason to believe something's going to work. Right? Then it's a matter of time and magnitude. So as we come into tomorrow, that's Friday. So tomorrow, as the day goes on, the week, the day, and the 60s are all expiring. All we have is monthlies again. Well, we're going to see, Clint. You never know. I mean, what we want to see is any type of downturn in the market again, if we ever get that. What do they do to these things? What do they do to the VIX? The VIX is back down to 19, back to normal. And I think we just got out of backwardation today in VXX, or for VIX, so should be interesting. To go triangle day out and then go back to the highs? Yargy. I'm going to take a while. Okay. It's got to close and then break 2-2 back up. Now what you can do also, like in Netflix here, so on the fiver, what you can do on this one, I'll show you. What you can do on this one, when it pokes down below and then comes back into the range and goes green on this bar, you can buy it right there. Because if it's going to go 3, that's what it's going to look like. Right? Then you can add right here. But you can, once the bar goes out and changes color back into this previous range, yeah, that's potential 3. You can go after it that way. You bet you can. Well, here, we're not touching it until either it comes back in here or it goes 2-2 reversal right here. Right there. Right there. Besides what now? Might have ticked down first. All right. But if it does, you can get right back in. Ideally, we want something like this, the Marabozu bottom, where it doesn't shaven bottom, where it doesn't do anything, it just goes, right? Yes, Mark, yes. Correct. And that's why the flip is so important. When we have 3/4 time frame, monthly, weekly, daily up, and that 60 goes red, you're just stalking that flip. And that thing goes green, we have every reason, has a new one, we have every reason to believe that baby's going to go. Yeah, stalking that flip. Because then you can look for any signals that are going to happen on the flip, like an Adobe with 60, right? Here. We have every reason to believe this is going to work. Oh, yeah. Def. Right? And so around the flip, you can look for the 60, the 30, the 15, the 5, especially if it's 3/4 time frame to the upside and it has corrected like this thing here. Yeah, because that gives you an additional actionable signal with full time frame continuity. You betcha. Yes, if you stop it, yes, you can get back in on the same signal. Yes, because one of the things we're doing by taking the offering or hitting bids, we can we are automatically walking into some triangle because we're taking the offer. We're going to higher highs, right? And that might be very micro. It might be a few cents where it just comes back in real quick, right? Amazon, sure. So Amazon's on the Fiverr. Amazon dried up into nothing, right? Chop shop, right? Chop shoppy. So here was one of the issues for Amazon. If you go to the 60 here, you're gonna get murdered in here. You get murdered in here. So up, came back, tried to triangulate out, tried to go inside and up, which it did, not by much, right? And then as the day goes on, and you see this like this, you see this day getting nowhere away from the opening, you get murdered in there, right? That's why come mid morning, noonish, we want to start looking at the dailies to make sure that they're really moving out, right? So if you went in there early, you got chewed up, right? What you did get, there's your 222, down 222 to catch that on the Fiverr, right? But you get up in here, you could get murdered. Max, if we have every reason to believe it was going to work, full time frame continuity to the upside, multiple actionable signals, keep going. Make sense, Scott? If it's something we definitely want to be involved in. Okay, I did get chewed up. Yeah. Okay, that's why. And that's why it seemed like something was going to happen with this. If the market had been puking, we would have liked that. Then when it came back, they were too busy doing other things. And Bristol Myers, right? Bristol Myers is a good example of something that guys wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. So that's good. Guy got murdered in this triangle. People got slaughtered in here, slaughtered in here. And I'll tell you, anybody who is long in here ain't paying up here. No way. That's how we know it's going to go, right? When you see a real chop fest and you finally get out of it, that's the time you want to go. Look at these guys getting slaughtered. Puke. Then down bottom to the try here. Oh, it's smooth sailing, is it? Puke. Puke. Hammer counter shooter. Doji nothing. Slight upper. Get. And then really get. It's also outside Monther. And here's Bristol Myers. There you go. It's a 3-2 week to the upside. And outside 3-monther. So the good thing about something like that, the good thing about the outside bars is they last until the next periods. So this has to have a potential 3-2 month come March. because it's outside. Can't not, right? In the weekly, there's your 3-2, 32 bammer. But like I said, anybody trading this in here in this tight triangle, there's no way they can touch it up here. There's no way these guys would ever pay up this because they've been screwed so many times paying up. They would never do it. Just missed the 60. A little choppity choppity, but okay. And the SPY. So SPY we don't know because yeah, it took it out. We redraw this every time we go to higher highs, right? So it can go through that for easily because you still got more stuff to go after. We could go jack into the highs for all I know, right? But as it stands statically right now, but anytime that something goes into more highs, you just redraw the try. And that's why I tell people not to worry about drawing them. Just know where they are. So right now, the thing is, we're coming back in this huge range. And we could go after this, sure. Yeah. And that's why we'll watch that weekly highs in the time frame continuity and match it all up. If it's going to keep going, it'll be green on the 60 in the day and all that stuff. So, well, Max, ideally, once you understand the triangles and time frame continuity and all the stuff, it should just go, right? Because of the situations we're putting ourselves in. We're not grabbing everything willy nilly, right? It's a 2-2. Yeah, it's in conflict and it's inside. Forget it, right? Because of the information we have on the longer term time frames, we have every reason to believe that's going to work. Everyone we know is a buyer. It's corrected and it's changing back into green, right? Stuff like that on the 60. Every reason to believe that's going to work. And so, as you see, once you continue to see and understand triangle magnitude, when we're right, we're really right. Because even on that micro Netflix still take out the highs, right? We know Netflix can do that. On the Fiverr. Even on this, if this works, we're expecting all this to get taken out, which it did. Know what I'm saying? If it doesn't all sink in right away, let it sink. Let it sink. Because for new folks, you might not even have seen the weekend videos yet. Right? So when I make the weekend video, I break down all the macro stuff. Well, not the mega. I do the macro once a month, but all the monthly, weekly, daily stuff that we're going to be looking at, a lot of triangles, and then narrow it down as the week goes on. So the weekend video and the week worksheet are a blueprint of what we know to be true so far as the month is concerned, and the potential weekly and dailies that will confirm or negate what we already know. And then the 60s do the same, reconfirm or negate what we already know. Make sense? All right, good, good. Well, we're about an hour and 20 or so. I think that's pretty good. Did a morning, did all day. And we'll be back at them in the morning. Okay, in learning this awesome material, I always seem late to the party. Overcome, talk to me during the day. Talk to me, run things by me. Always run things by me. Okay, and I'll be getting the emails. I got to get to the email before. Check with me. So like I said, just keep seeing it. Right? Don't worry if you're in the. Don't try and master this in 2 seconds. All right? Once you do, you're going to be all set. Just take your time. I know it's exciting and all that kind of stuff, but just keep seeing things in these terms, running things by me. Stay in touch with me. If I got to sit here and answer emails all night, that's all I'm going to do. Right? But take a little longer, yeah. Right? Old dog's new tricks. The thing is, like I say, it plays out so often, right? And I'm going to be on the headset. You're going to see it play out so often, right? That eventually becomes second nature, and you'll be able to, like I said, stick with the beginning plan, right? Run that by me, right? And then we can branch out into calling the audibles like today. When I say you got SMH inside on the 30, that's something you want to know about when all the semiconductors go inside on the 30. When the SPY and the Qs and stuff all go inside on the 60, that's something you're going to want to know about, right? Make sense? Got a 3-day weekend for resting. Okay. Well, on that note, another good session. The morning's recorded. This is recorded, and the nights the other did another vid to you. So, all right, everybody. I think everybody's coming along. And if it takes, like I said, if it takes a little bit longer, don't worry about it. All right, everybody have a good night. We'll see you bright and early in the morning.